Hi, I'm Susan Saunders.
Hey, I'm Archie J.
And today we're making my mother's famous mashed potatoes in advance recipe to make your holidays so much easier.
For your convenience, the recipe will be listed below and on WBNQ.com.
First up, ingredient list. Now, you need potatoes to make mashed potatoes. I prefer the nice russet potatoes, but you can also do this with Yukon Gold. Now, our recipe that you'll see below is designed for 10 pounds of raw potatoes. But right now, we're going to cut that recipe in half so we don't overeat these very yummy things. The other items you're going to need include softened cream cheese, half a stick or less of butter, depending on how you're accommodating your recipe, milk, and sour cream, salt and pepper, pyrex pan, way to mash your potatoes, maybe strong man, or we'll be using a KitchenAid today. You're gonna need a boiling pot of water, and we'll walk you through the rest of it. First up, we're gonna teach Archie J how to peel potatoes. You've never done that.
No.
You've never used one of these, or one of these to take the skin off a potato.
Not personally.
This should be interesting. Okay, I'm a girl who likes to wear plastic gloves when I'm cooking, especially when I'm peeling potatoes, because there seems to be something in the skin and the water that totally dries my hands out. So for sanitation reasons, as well as convenience, here are your plastic gloves.
Awesome!
Alright, now while you're putting those suckers on, and you can find those obviously at any pharmacy or steal them from your doctor's office when you're coming in for a physical, we're going to start with a handy dandy potato. Now, do you have a garbage disposal at home?
I do!
If you have a garbage disposal, lesson number one, don't put your potato peelings down the garbage disposal. I don't care if you're an owner or a renter, it can all mess up the garbage disposal because of whatever's in the potato. It clogs it all up. So I put a little bag inside my garbage disposal, and we're going to clean up our potato peelings and throw them in the trash, or on your compost pile, feed them to your chickens, whatever you're going to do.
Okay.
Do those fit you? Do you just have the world's biggest man hands?
I was like, this is only 3 fingers?
I have big hands. So
no, it's good. It's good.
Alright, now, potato peeling. Some people do it with a knife and they can do it really, really quick. I prefer peelers. Now, both of these work absolutely fine, but for you, I'm going to give you something that seems a little easier to maneuver. So, you're going to take a potato, over your sink, and you're going to lightly brush away from you so you don't scrape up and, take off a knuckle. And you're just trying to take off the skin.
Oh, that's
But
easy.
you can keep scraping if you have little eyes of the potato, the little indentations on there, until we don't see any green, we see nothing but white tater. Okay. That's for you. That's for you. Point it that direction. Now this is why we're making mashed potatoes in advance. Because this part of the process is why you should love on anybody who gives you homemade mashed potatoes. It's a pain in the, and it takes forever. Right now we're only doing 5 pounds of potatoes. The recipe that you're going to see calls for 10 pounds of potatoes, and if you eat like my family loves Mom's homemade mashed potatoes because there's so much goodness in it, you want 15 to 20 pounds of potatoes because the leftovers are awesome. So take your time. They'll wait all day. Fast forward to 5 pounds of beautifully peeled russet potatoes. Very good job on your first time peeling potatoes.
Thank you.
Now remember, the recipe that you'll see below this video will be for 10 pounds. We're just making 5 pounds today. And after finishing this task, you know what that's time for?
Wine break!
So Archie J, tell me what you know about cutting anything.
You take a knife and you have at it, but you move your fingers like this, right?
Depending on what you're cutting, yes. Depending on what kind of knife you're using, yes. You always want to make sure you don't cut your finger off. This is all I know about knife skills. Watch some other cooking channel if you really want to know about knife skills. But today I am taking a mini cleaver and I am handing it to you, Archie J.
Are you sure?
To cut this potato into something smaller, alright? Because now we are going to boil this potato and all of its brothers and sisters until we can make mashed potatoes. So again, this is the part of making homemade mashed potatoes. So, put it into chunks. I would suggest keep cutting it in half until you got some chunks.
Some chunks.
No.
No.
Lord, did you see that? Put it down onto the potato and then press until it goes all the way through.
Oh.
God, I'm sorry to your mother. You scared me half to death. Push. Turn it in half. Again, keeping your fingers out of the way and pushing down with your other hand. Keep reducing the potato in size. Turn. Cut. 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 So we've been boiling the potatoes until they are fork soft, because the next step after we drain the potatoes is to put them in the blender. So the way you can tell is just by easily picking up with a fork a potato and see if it easily goes in. See how it's kind of going? Okay, I'm not doing it very well. But see how I can cut through it with a fork very easily? That means your potatoes are ready to be strained. Time-wise, it's like 15 to 20 minutes in a boiling pot, or until the wine is gone, whichever happens first. Transfer your waterless potatoes into whatever you're going to mash by hand, or in my case, going to the mixer. Okay, Archie J.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you you want a half a stick of butter, how do you figure that out?
Well, I like cut roughly, and then I put it in the microwave to melt it in a melting cup to see if it turns out to be...
Absolutely 100% wrong. Thank you very much. Okay, 1 stick of butter, bless your heart, everybody learns, is 8 tablespoons of butter. So if you want half a stick of butter, it measures right on the side of the stick for you, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we were doing a 10-pound recipe of potatoes, we would be using half a stick of butter, 4 tablespoons. And what you normally would have done is you would have cut your stick of butter in to the amount that you wanted and leave it out on the counter while you were messing around, cutting the potatoes, peeling the potatoes, boiling the potatoes, so it just gets relatively squeezably soft, not melted in the microwave. All right, this will blend. Touch it and see how it's kind of squeezy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, it's a family show. Okay, now in this case, because we're making a smaller amount, we're not going to use all 4 tablespoons of butter. But who doesn't like butter in their mashed potatoes? So I'm really kind of going 2.5 tablespoons of butter, which I already had measured out. All right, next up, you want 8 ounces of cream cheese. This is your secret ingredient of how these mashed potatoes become in advance. This is what's going to make it possible for you to refrigerate or freeze these mashed potatoes, reheat them later, and nobody's going to know that you didn't make them right away. They're also going to taste extra special creamy, and they're going to be high in fat and cholesterol, so don't tell your doctor this is the recipe you used. One of your normal sized, boxes of cream cheese is 8 ounces. Again, we have this recipe, so I'm taking my handy dandy meat cleaver and I'm cutting in half, and that's the amount of cream cheese we're going to use. Finally, your sour cream. This is always hard for me to measure. You can use a dry measure or you can use a liquid measure, but you want a half a cup of sour cream to a full cup of sour cream, depending on how you want your mashed potatoes to taste. I think it actually adds, I'm just double checking. Nope, 1 cup of sour cream for 10 pounds, so in our case it's half a cup of sour cream. Okay, this is where I like to have a very strong man at my disposal. First, what we're going to do is we're actually going to prepare your pyrex bakeable dishes. So preferably your glass, your heavy-duty ceramics. This is going to be something that's going to go into the oven when you're reheating those mashed potatoes, whether that be tomorrow, which is your Thanksgiving or Christmas, whether it be 2 weeks from now. These refrigerated mashed potatoes will be perfect. Or you can do months in advance by actually putting them away in the freezer, and then you're going to reheat them the day that you're going to eat them. We'll get to those reheating instructions in a minute. First, when they say prepared pan, do you know what that means?
Spray it down.
Slightly greased. You want them with gravy? You want them with butter?
I like mashed potatoes with butter, gravy, and pepper.
Excellent. Again, you can add your salt and pepper. Now you can add your salt and pepper when you reheat them. Some people like to drizzle butter on top before they reheat them. And always take the potatoes out of the refrigerator, out of the freezer 2 to 3 hours before you're actually gonna cook them. It just helps them cook a little bit better all the way through. Why? I don't know. I'm following Mom's recipe. It's what she said to do.
I'm all done.
All right. Now, all you have to do, besides clean up, is wrap. So if you have a Tupperware lid, or you have saran wrap, or you have tin foil, all these will work. Right, it's mashed potatoes done. But the bonus part is you saw how much of a pain it was to make those, and all the mess that we made today. You don't have to do that on Thanksgiving or on Christmas,
right,
when you're using all the rest of your burners, while you're using full size in your oven. And the last thing I wanted to point out is, grab that crock pot. If I'm going to make these just like a day in advance or a dish to pass, I store them in a crock pot that I can then use and heat up on low for 3 to 4 hours the next day, stirring every hour. And that's an easy way to leave room in the oven, cook your potatoes all the way through. They're already completely cooked, but just a way to heat them up, make them transport really easy. So crock pot can also be your friend. Archie J, happy holidays!
Happy holidays to you!
Whether you're eating turkey or ham or any other foods this holiday season, homemade mashed potatoes. Now you know how much to appreciate them, and find the recipe again anytime you need to Google it at WBNQ.com.